Hello and welcome back to the Alnwick Castle Podcast. I'm Deborah Beecroft.
And I'm Daniel Watkins.
And today's episode will be a special one as we are joined by several very silly guests.
The Silly History Boys are a troupe of performers who travel the country with their interactive shows all set in and around the past. And they'll be with us at Alnwick Castle this summer. They also have their own very successful podcast. So we took the chance to speak with several of them to find out just how silly history can be.
Here is what happened when we spoke with the Silly History Boys. Please enjoy.
Yeah, and we all know history is boring, and we don't want it to be entertaining. I'm joking.
Okay. Yeah. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we are very happy to be joined by the Silly History Boys on the Alnwick Castle podcast. How are you all, and can you introduce yourselves?
I think I'll... Yep, you go first, Tombo.
Hello there. My name is Tom, but as a silly history boy, they call me Tombo. Thanks for having me on.
Hello, everybody. My name is Will, but I go by the moniker Uncle Billbo, one of your favourite uncles.
Hello, everyone. I'm your dear Uncle Bob-Bob, but my real name is Rob Bond. Hello, and I'm well. Thank you for asking. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
I suppose the first question is, who are the Silly History Boys and how did you become the Silly History Boys?
Well, I suppose we have COVID to thank for the Silly History Boys.
Give it a clap.
Yeah. It was a horrible time for everybody, but, you know, taking positives from negatives, if COVID gave me anything other than COVID 3 times, it gave me the Silly History Boys. So we've worked together for years and years and years, various heritage sites and museums and whatnot. And of course, when the pandemic came around, all creatives, as you will know, everything dried up. So to stop ourselves from, I guess, losing our minds, and we wanted to feel useful, and I was delivering burgers and milkshakes and hated it to earn a crust, we decided to turn all our live silliness into super serious, in-depth historical critiques online. And then when everything came back, we decided we liked it and just continued going. So, yeah.
Will means Wikipedia.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, many a deep dive onto Wikipedia. So, yeah, the 4 of us. Oh, we are missing a silly boy. We do have Stu, the Pear Bear Perry, who is not with us today because he is currently editing the final installment of Richard the Lionheart for us. So, he will too be at Alnwick. But yeah, basically, we've known each other for years and just did this thing online in a weird time for everybody.
What he said, that was very good.
And what do your shows involve? So obviously you've got the podcast, which you mentioned, which we'll go back to, but what do you do when you're at big events and things like Alnwick Castle?
Bob, would you not take that one?
A lot of screaming and shouting, I think, would be for across the podcasts and across the live shows. I think we try and present history in a fun and, most importantly, funny way, especially the bits that aren't particularly funny. And so the podcast is all sort of radio things, and then the shows are, you know, we involve the audience. You may end up on stage. You will certainly be harassed by King John or any other or Richard III or any of history's great villains. But I think it's just bringing history to, you know, to families in a fun and exciting and enjoyable way, and we all really enjoy it because I say, like, we've known each other for years.
So King John, Richard III, history's greatest villains. Do you prefer to stick to the villainous side of things, or have you got history heroes as well?
Oh yeah, there's plenty of history heroes. I mean, I suppose from an acting point of view, the bad guys are the most fun to play.
Oh, yes.
But we have plenty of history heroes like William Marshall, England's greatest knight, all the way through to Miyamoto Musashi, one of the finest samurais to ever grace the lands. So heroes are good, but villains are more fun. That's my view anyway.
I never get a hero or a villain. I tend to get cast as pointless or silly. I don't know, not space filler.
Functionaries.
Yes. For instance, in the Wars of the Roses, I tend to be a bit of a brain dead king who gets trapped in a tower a lot. I tend to do usually female or brain dead voices,
except when you were Thor, God of Thunder.
Yeah, you were Thor.
And Ragnar Lothbrok.
Oh yes, I'm known. Fair enough. I was Thor. I can do a really mean Thor, and we do it historically accurately, based on the movies. I don't know if you know this, but Thor, he's pretending to be English. He's actually Australian. So we do it how Snorri Snarlson wanted us to do it as an Australian, a full-blown Australian. Yeah. So, and also Odin tends to be full Welsh because the actor was Welsh, and we believe everything we see on the movie screen.
Mm.
So we try and portray heroes, villains, and the silly people caught in the crossfire in the middle as well.
And you do have a variety of styles of shows to present this history, don't you?
Yeah. So we try and appeal to all styles of audience. Bob mentioned families. We do really like to get people thinking and engaging in history from an early age. So all of our shows are relatively funny with a silly bent to it. So we do have interactive shows where we can get children and families involved. We will surreptitiously sneak in the history so they don't know they're learning, but they are learning. But equally, we do out and out. Everybody stop what you're doing and listen to this. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. So we do shows sometimes, more often than not, with sword fighting in it, and it all goes wrong usually with our sword fights. They're very silly sword fights. But also we do the interactive bits. Sometimes we'll do interactive bits without shows at all and just let the children do the work and let them learn firsthand how hard it is to be from the olden days.
Absolutely. Like, I don't know, funducation or edutainment or whatever you want to call it.
The history is cleverly hidden between hitting things with sticks.
Yeah, secret learning.
Yes.
Funducation is not a word I've come across before.
You can have it, Daniel. You can have it. It's all yours, mate.
I've got to say, I've never heard it, and I've known Will for years. So
we're also very good at improv, as you can tell.
So, what is it you love about history that's made you turn it into this funducational experience across the country?
Go on, Bob.
I think it's stories, isn't it? It's we like to hear the stories of what people have done in the past, because we all like to think that we're in a big club and we sort of claim a bit of ownership and things, but obviously there's a billion different ways to tell these stories in a way that in modern times we now know slightly more about history than people did maybe 100 years ago now. So there's always lots of fun in sort of maybe exploring some of what people think history has been from, what people learned for years and years, and then maybe saying, well, it might be this, but I think stories is the main thing. Yeah.
We are largely, I hate to admit it, because I think we'd love to all be wearing tweed with leather patches on our elbows and assume that we are historians, but we've all sort of happened upon history because we are storytellers, and the best stories seem to occur long ago, in times of yore. So we've found history through our true art, which is technically storytelling and theatre. So we're all trying to make a really fun story out of an already brilliant epic story that is history.
Well, that's the beautiful thing as well. It's like we do all the classics. So we've done like Wars of the Roses, and we cover big famous kings and queens. But now and again, one of the silly boys will just pop up with a little story from history which none of us have heard of, and that's a really fun aspect as well. When Bob, one of your latest scripts was, what was it, the Battle of Fishguard?
Oh yes.
Yeah, so there was the last invasion of Britain?
The last invasion of Britain, which is completely accidentally very, very funny. It's just full of very silly people doing their jobs wrong, and but it's quite nice. Nobody dies. It's all just rather daft.
So when little stories like that crop up, I really like that aspect of it too.
Equally, though, unfortunately, we sometimes try and avoid a nasty history, and instead we'll do a nice podcast about gardening, which ends accidentally with things like the Opium Wars. So we accidentally...
No, that's tea. Tea ended up with the Opium.
The tea, and then the Boston Tea Party. So we find horrible bits accidentally. History is full of horrible stuff as well as funny stuff.
I think it's important that we do, in some way, cover it, though, because, we don't... I mean, okay, we're not going to go full blood, guts and thunder on the really icky bits of history, but I think you do need to nod to it, because then how do we learn, kind of for future generations? And there's a lot of real history going on now as well, so, we can't shy away too much, so it's that balancing act of making it accessible, but silly at the same time. But I think we find a good tone most of the time, I think.
That was a really deep answer. Well, how did I know? I didn't know you had depths like this. You're such a deep person.
I am frantically covering for the fact that I'm not really a history guy.
Oh no! Quickly undermine him with jokes.
Yes. So the Wars of the Roses is a tough one to do. It's really tough. And if you look at something like the Battle of Towton, how do you find the silliness in the Battle of Towton? It's really difficult without making too much light of it. So you'll find out how on earth we scrabble to make the Towton a family show. For those who don't know too much about Towton, it was a bit of a bloodbath. But we, the Silly History Boys, will somehow find a way to leave you knowing a little bit more about Towton with a smile on your face. Oh gosh! Oh my God! Maybe we don't. I don't know. But
Lulgication.
For instance, there was a new exciting style of weapon called a handgun around the Wars of the Roses, and no one really knew how to use it. Was it a cannon? Was it a grenade? What was it? What we do know is they weren't very well built. So as well as killing the person you're wanting to try and kill, oftentimes... I never use the word oftentimes. What? Either way, often you would hear on the battle someone exploding themselves because the handgun wasn't used. So in one of our shows, you would have a conversation. It could be deep and meaningful conversation, and then you'd hear an explosion. Somebody has just randomly blown themselves up because they've used a weapon incorrectly.
Read the instructions, kids. Read the instructions. When you open something Christmas morning, read the instructions.
That's the lesson we want your listeners to take.
Did you learn something? Read the instructions.
Yeah. So we always seem to mine the silliness, even out of very dark times.
The Wars of the Roses is that difficult subject you will be showcasing for us at Alnwick Castle in 2024. Is that right?
Oh no! Have we signed up for this?
You have, yeah.
The Roses.
Sorry about that.
What? Yeah, sure. We'll do it. We'll do a song as well. Yeah, no bother.
Yes, we will. We are doing the Wars of the Roses for you at Alnwick Castle, and we're quite nervous, but really excited about bringing you the silly history of the Wars of the Roses.
And we have you on record saying that.
Oh no, he's got us there. He's got us there.
Oh yes, that's right.
Absolutely banged to rights.
It's littered with a little bit of silliness in every battle. For instance, the Battle of Barnet seems to be fought largely in the mist. Why would you have a battle in deep, foggy mist? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and there's lots of haircut jokes as well that we can crowbar in there too.
Hundreds, thousands even.
And,
yeah.
Well.
Yeah. We will. I promise. We will bring a smile to.
Don't promise that. Don't go on record promising smiles.
I rescind my promise. But something will happen for you, I promise. I've just a promise again.
So I'm saying Daniel edits this so he can put in the promises and take out anything that you say that he doesn't want.
So all of it then, all of it is scrapped.
Yes.
Cutting room floor.
So you've mentioned the Wars of the Roses, mentioned King John, King Richard. Is there a favourite part of history that you like to perform, or do you just go with what funny stories you found at that time, or?
Well, sometimes I think we go with the curriculum as well, kind of like, because a few of us got kids, and now as they're getting older, we are realizing what is on the curriculum and then maybe what might be good and interesting. So that sometimes directs us, but a lot of the time, Uncle Bob-Bob just loves ancient Japan, so he's always staring off towards the east, misty-eyed.
My problem is I've had too much history, so now I have to go scrabbling round down the back of the history sofa for all the obscure bits, which is why samurai versus conquistadors is on the cards for the podcast next year. I've had too much Wars of the Roses that I'm slaked by that now. I'm digging the Dark Ages at the moment because there's lots that is unknown, but also quite a bit that is known that you don't realise is. If you say that stuff, take that out, Dad.
You could,
rewind. I suppose the good thing about the Dark Ages, Bob, is, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, because we do a lot of history, but we also do a lot of myth as well.
Correct.
So we call it mythtory, whereas the Dark Ages seems to straddle both. We have documented bits and bats, but there's a lot going on there with this just wonderful mythtory.
It's on the back of a postage stamp, and it's like, that doesn't sound true, but there's nothing else.
That's another one for you, Dan. Mythtory.
Mythtory. So, because we do, I like a bit of mythtory myself, because you kind of have so much leeway to go with, and we do a batch of shows on Heracles. So we've got about maybe 6 shows on Heracles. So we're doing each of his labours and an origin story. So, and they're great fun.
For any lovers of Roman history, he's talking about Hercules, obviously.
Of course, yeah. But we've gone full Greek.
Yeah. And pirates are good as well, because, of course, most of the stuff that we know about pirates, the interesting stuff, is by and large made up. So it is mythtory and history sort of coincide there. We wouldn't know anything apart from what one bloke made up to sell books.
And kids, just promise you won't Google the real history of pirates.
Don't do that.
This still blows my mind that kids are into pirates. I'm like, but don't Google it. Don't Google it. Just wear the hat and the eye patch and the hook, and that's okay.
And how do you do your research when it comes to all these different things? Is it all internet based? Do you go out and try and find new stories? How do you do it?
If you'd like, have you heard of the TV show Cribs? I'd love for you to have a look into Uncle Bob-Bob. He would put Anarchic's library to shame, and it's all history books. I like reading as well. Will is more of a modern historian, I'd like to say. And by that, again, Wikipedia.
Well, the thing is, I try to use at least 3 references. I mean, because Wikipedia is great. Let's not beat around the bush. And there's a lot of eye rolling when it comes to Wiki, but I think it's just for us as a civilization, it's been like an invaluable tool. Yes, it gets the occasional thing wrong, but it's accessible and it's there. But I always like to kind of double check. And especially if we are doing something from a foreign country, I always kind of Google maybe a Turkish museum or a Greek museum, depending on where the thing happened, and just see if there's any translations and see what you can tie up. But Bob, I've got the Code of the Samurai right here as well. Which
Brilliant! I've got it next door.
So there you go,
Mine's
mate.
blue.
There you go. Mine's kind of blue.
I also have the Code of the Samurai, but I'm so sorry. Mine is in a special room that has a flushing mechanism.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
okay.
That's right. I'm not going to go into too much detail.
No. That's quite right.
I have to say, for saying Will says he's not a history guy, Will and I both worked as historical interpreters at a place that won't be named, but it is there's arms in it. It's a National Museums of Arms and Armour with a royal connection.
You must be a really big deal.
Oh yeah, we're pretty big. We're pretty big. Yeah. So it was drummed into us. Actually, if you've learned a fact, cross-reference it. Yeah.
It seems like there's an answer for which of the silly history boys is the historyest history boy, but who is the silliest silly history boy?
I think Will and Stu can just go away, can't we? Really?
No, well, it's a case of I see myself. I mean, linchpin is an overused word in modern.
The glue,
but I see myself very much as the straight man silly anchor, and I'm just surrounded by three wonderful silly boys. So I just kind of stand there and I just watch them windmill around me. So we're all pretty versatile, but I'd say, yeah, the three boys other than myself they all have wonderful aspects of silly. Whereas I just keep the whole thing running, just from a very kind of boring admin. My other nickname is Uncle Bill Badmin. So I keep things
say
straight and narrow.
Will is truly remarkably reliable.
Yeah, put that on the poster.
I also think he's an incredible silly boy as well.
He's very, very funny.
He's doing himself
and
down.
very self-deprecating.
We all have our strengths. I think Uncle Bob-Bob. He's actually I think I'm allowed to say this. He works in the evenings as a comedian. He's genuinely very funny as a stand-up silly comedian. Stuart, who you haven't met yet, has the voice of an angel. So whenever there's singing, he's the singing. So look out, I'm sure in the next 10 years, I'm sure there'll be a Silly History Boys, the musical, where Stu does all the parts.
And plays all the instruments. Yeah.
And I'm there just to get I just stand on stilts and do bum jokes.
You're our vibe man. You're our vibe man,
I don't know what that means.
It's like Bez.
You're like
breathes fire.
Bez, yeah. Oh, there's one for the kids. Bez.
Oh, yeah, yes. A history show with maracas. That's me. Yeah. Yeah, so we all have skills, I think. We all have without one of us, we could still do it. I was going to say we're all integral, but we're not really. I think we could all have a right old laugh.
I think as a foursome, I think we complement each other really well. And I know that my deficiencies can be covered by other people's. And then when people need getting out of bed and getting online, that falls to me, spreadsheets.
But who would, if you were to categorise, who would do the job? You're right. You are sort of the binding glue. I don't know.
It'd be if I was ill, it'd have to be the Pear Bear, surely.
What, as in to take your part?
To take the admin part.
Take the admin part.
Yeah. And he'd moan about it because he's our technical manager as well. Is the Pear Bear? When it comes to, he does a lot of work with his hands, building sets. Kind of organising. So when it comes to putting up tents, and we need someone to shout at us, it's the Pear Bear. He takes that mantle.
Yeah, and I pretend to be the important one that talks to very important people like yourselves, Daniel and Deborah. I do that bit, but in actual fact, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm being dragged along by my heels, being told what to do, making up the numbers.
None of us do, Tombo. That's life, though, isn't it?
Yes, that's right, yeah. So, yeah, we all have the strengths. I could have said that in one line, couldn't I?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about your podcast. You've mentioned a couple of different stories you've done on it, but what do you do on the podcast? Where can people find the podcast?
The podcast is basically a series of, I suppose you call them radio plays or audio comedies.
Action radio.
That is a phrase that we have coined because obviously the live shows are full of sword fights and Will lifting me over his head. So the radio shows are the equivalent for that. So there tends to be, if there isn't 2 or 3 battles per show, then I think, you've wasted your money personally. So they are, audio plays where the 4 of us play lots of different parts, kings, silly people, and we flip between periods and we flip between doing proper history where we have to read big dusty books and mythtory where we can pick up our favorite version of Greek myths or Viking sagas or whatever it is and do our version of that. And with myths, there's so many different versions of it. You can say, oh, I like this version of it, but they missed that out. So our version will include all those bits.
And you can find us anywhere, basically. If you, on your favourite podcast platform, just type in the Silly History Boys show. I'm pretty sure that we're on all the big hitters. Your Apples, Samsungs, Podbeans, God knows what else. We seem to be everywhere. Just internet searches and we
will come up. We're on Spotify and
Yeah.
Apple Pods and all the big ones, yeah.
And of course, you will be at Alnwick Castle in person in
Most
2024.
importantly, we will be there.
Yeah, can you give us super quick pitch for people to come and see you, what's going to be very exciting about seeing the Silly History Boys at Alnwick Castle this year?
Well, if you want to see 4 men on the raggedy edge trying to get all of the Wars of the Roses into a half-hour show, and you're going to go, that can't be done. And maybe it cannot be done. But come see us, look deep into our eyes and see what we've been through for you at Alnwick Castle.
It'll be history. It'll be silly. There'll be boys, kind of.
There may be swords.
Oh, yeah.
There may be silly voices, and there may be pointless costume changes, and it will be a right old laugh.
Tombo was saying maybe there will definitely be sword fights, silly voices, and pointless costume changes. We can assure you that.
And we may need you to get on the stage because it was a big war. There was a lot of people in it. And frankly, we don't have enough of us. So you may have to join us. You. Yes,
Yeah.
you.
And I'd like to say it is fun for all the family. It isn't just history lovers. If people like silly shows and you don't really care for history, I think this would still appeal to you.
Will, does it?
Oh, I'm sold. I'll be there. I'll be
Will,
there.
does it?
Good. You sold me, Tom.
Well, that about wraps us up with the Silly History Boys. So thank you very much for joining us on the Alnwick Castle podcast today.
Thank you very much. It's very nice to
See
meet
you
you.
later.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
See you guys.
For more from the Silly History Boys, we recommend looking them up wherever you get your podcasts and checking anarchcastle.com to find out when you can see their shows in person here at Alnwick Castle.
If you enjoyed this episode, we suggest listening back to the Alnwick Castle podcast episode with Tom Fool, who, when he's not a medieval jester, is also one of the Silly History Boys.
We'll be back in 2 weeks, but until then, I've been Deborah.
And I've been Daniel. Thank you very much for listening, and goodbye.
Bye.